Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am the Sipping Tea, and today I have a news and update video for you starting today, the 6th of December 2022. Briefly, however, before I get into that, I just wish to make a couple of announcements. The first is, of course, to thank my patrons NB Hollywood, Niagara898 and TankerTough66 for your ongoing support, and also to let you know as well that I perhaps won't be uploading quite as much over this December and perhaps into the early part of January over the holiday period, basically because I will be spending a little bit more time with my family over this holiday period. So, with all that being said, let's get into it. So, to start things off, the biggest update of the lot is the brand new season, which starts from today through until the 14th of February 2023, and that is Allegiance. So, some quick notes to point out with this particular season is that it will take a little bit longer for you to complete it, perhaps, given that they have sort of increased the requirements for you to actually progress up the season tree. So for example, the reoccurring challenge where you get XP, where you earn XP and earn a point, has gone up from 4,000 XP required to 4,500 XP required. So yeah, that's going to take a little bit longer, and also the weekly challenge as well. The points for each challenge have once again been reduced, this time down from 5 to 4, so it's a reduction of 20%, which means that it will take you that little bit longer to complete the season. Thankfully it does carry on through until the second week of February next year, but nonetheless it is important to be aware that this one's going to take a little bit longer than previous ones. Everything else with the season pass is much the same as we have seen previously. So you've got your three different sort of tiers, if you will, of the season pass. You've got the free one where you don't spend any gold at all and get very limited rewards. You've got the 2,000 gold season pass, which of course unlocks the vast majority of it, and then finally you've got the 6,000 gold season pass, which unlocks the vast majority, well, everything of course. But also gives you those 25 levels for free, and it also gives you the Krampus 3D Hero Commander, and also the brand new American Tier 8 Astron Rex 105mm medium tank. So that is a Tier 8 tank or medium tank in World War II for the Americans. Further details on that are able to be seen far more clearly and easily in the game using either the Seasons tab or just taking a look at it in the store, so I will spare you the waffling on from there. Moving on from there, because it is a new season, we also have a brand new season starter pack DLC. So Allegiance starter pack, completely free to everyone, so go ahead and make sure that you claim that in the store. It consists of 3 days of premium time, 5 lots of ×2 silver boosters, 5 lots of ×3 vehicle XP boosters, and 5 lots of ×4 commander XP boosters, available of course for both console platforms, Xbox and PlayStation. Moving on from there, I'm just going to do a sort of a public service announcement, so to speak, here, that the 3 tanks that they're giving away that have already pre-existed in the game, and also the skin in the season pass, if you've already got them, then of course you will be reimbursed the silver equivalent. So if you've already got the German Tier 8 Panzer 58 Mutz medium tank, you will get 3,480,000 silver. If you've already got the British Tier 4 AC1 Sentinel medium tank, then you will get 480,000 silver. If you've already got the German Tier 8 Cannon Jagdpanzer 105 tank destroyer, then you will get 4,260,000 silver. And finally, if you already have the Forest Stalker skin for the M60A1, you will get 800,000 silver. Moving on from there, we have, well, the next largest change in the game, which is all manner of different updates and sort of patches. So I don't want to go into this in full detail now, purely because it would just make this video probably an hour long, which is not going to be anything anyone wants. So I'll just sort of blast through it quickly. So HUD Improvements Ribbons are back. So those of you who were playing 2 or 3 years ago, I suppose, just before 6.0 came out, you will be familiar with the ribbons mechanic in the game. Basically, when you do more or less anything in the game, from hitting a target to destroying a target, spotting a target, anything like that, you earn a ribbon which is displayed in, well, in the past at least, in the top right hand corner of the screen. We'll see where that will go now with a slightly more customizable HUD that we've got in this version of the game. But yeah, basically those ribbons are back, so you'll perhaps have a little bit more of a clearer picture as to what you are doing and have done in the game. You'll also be able to see, for instance, if you've actually killed a tank without having to press the menu button, so you'll actually see it there in the screen as you play the game. Another quick note to make is that there now will be an artillery sixth sense, meaning that you will be notified if you are being actively targeted by artillery, which is rather useful, obviously only applicable to World War II. Another quick note again is that there is now limitation indicators of the turret traverse on multi-turret tanks. So a bit like with certain tanks that can only turn their turrets to a maximum amount, instead of full 360 degrees, let's say that they are limited to just 180 degrees, like say the FV4005. You now have little indicators showing where the limitation of the turret traverse is, so that's quite useful. Artillery 2.0 is now here, something that has really been wildly anticipated by a lot of people who are fond of World War II, myself included. I mean, one of the reasons why I switched over to Cold War was because of artillery. That was the main reason, in fact. So artillery seems to have received a massive overhaul. So again, that is so incredibly detailed, I can't really list it all in the here and now, but I will leave a link in the description box below if you want to get a little bit more detail out of it. But the long and short of it is that their damage has been reduced, their aim time has been buffed ever so slightly, along with the accuracy as well. So the long and short of it is that the artillery themselves will more or less keep the same amount of damage per minute as they've always had. They just won't be able to deal an enormous amount of damage, or quite as much damage, in a single shot. So for instance, the one bit of detail I will go into is that tiers 7 through to 10 have had a reduction of 40% on the vast majority of the guns in this tier range. So yeah, that's quite a significant reduction in damage. So that's a positive for those who really disliked being slapped by artillery and taken out of the game far too soon. So hopefully it will be balanced and fair for all people, those who really enjoy playing artillery and indeed those who would rather it wasn't in the game. Moving on from there, we have garage improvements. So this is basically just a quality of life improvement to the various features of the garage when you look at your tanks. So for instance, where you used to have the plays up to tier little ribbon, which was more or less near the commander in the bottom left hand side of the screen, that is now integrated into the stat sheet on the right hand side of your tank in the garage. So it's an idea to try and minimize the clutter in the garage. There's a few other changes as well, which all have the same sort of thought in mind, to try and keep the garage as clean as possible, in a manner of speaking. So yeah, relatively minor changes, but I think it just makes it all look a little bit better. From there, we move on to a bit more information on Cold War. So we've got some RNG changes in Cold War, trying to sort of smooth out the variability of the gun mechanics in Cold War. So in the past, it used to be that Era 3 really was just a case of you point and shoot, and the chances are you will penetrate, and you know roughly what sort of damage you will do. But weirdly, Era 1 and Era 2 weren't like that. There was a lot more variability in the penetration value and also the damage that you could deal as well. So basically, they've tried to bring Era 1 and Era 2 in line with Era 3 to try and sort of smooth things out on an average level. So the long and short of it is that you'll have a little bit more familiarity with your gun. It will be able to be a bit more consistent, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say here. It's going to be more reliable and hit typically for more of its higher damage value, as opposed to constantly low rolling, which sometimes it did seem to do in those lower eras. Moving on from there, pairs and matchmaking improvements. So scout pairing. Scout tanks are any light tank from tier 5 and up. Matchmaking will now enforce symmetry for scouts on both teams, meaning that light tanks in a match will match up 1 for 1. So in other words, they're ensuring that there is balance on the teams, to make sure that if there's, for instance, 3 light tanks on one team, that there will be 3 light tanks on the other. So that's quite a good and frankly important change, in my opinion, because otherwise you can find the teams being massively unbalanced, and well, that's just no fun for, well, the opposite team. Moving on from there, the map rotation changes for new players. So new accounts will play all co-op matches on a reduced map list. So this means that new players will be more or less kept out of the way of veteran players for a while whilst they learn the game, which will hopefully improve life for everyone involved, veteran players and new players, because of course new players won't go up against people who are, well, veteran and have played this game for a great many years and know exactly what they're doing, hopefully, and just get stomped. And indeed, on the opposite end of that scale, veteran players won't get the frustration of having a brand new player who just can't hit a moving target for love nor money because they're just not familiar with how the game mechanics work yet. So a huge improvement right there. It's going to be hopefully something that will drastically improve the quality of life in the game. Moving on from there, we have various shell price changes. So for the most part, not a good change for us, because they're increasing the cost of a lot of shells. But indeed, in certain areas, they are actually reducing the cost just ever so slightly. But overall, it does appear to be an increase. It affects both World War II and Cold War. So, well, there we go. It is what it is. Enjoy that. To finish off the patch notes and the update notes, there are a multitude of various issues that they have addressed. So basically loads of patches and bug fixes. I'm not going to list all of these because just at a quick glance there's probably 40 to 50 different changes without actually counting them. There certainly seems to be quite a few at least. So what I'm going to do is down in the description box below, I'm going to include a link to all of these notes that I've just spoken about here, so that if you want to be able to get a bit more information on them, you can click that link and it will take you straight to the World of Tanks website, and you will be able to get all of the information that you need, so you can sort of digest it slowly at your own pace. I think that is far, far better than me waffling on for the better part of an hour just on this segment alone. So moving on from there, back on track with the main bit of the news, and well, on track, yes, the FV215B183. So that is, of course, the World War II Tier 10 British tank destroyer, otherwise known as the Death Star. This tank is now on track, meaning that if you wish, you can get a sort of a leg up and a boost when grinding this tank. It lasts until the 20th of December, so just a couple of weeks on that. Basically meaning that you'll get a 50% silver discount from the tier 3 Valentine up through to the tier 6 88 tank destroyer. That's a 50% silver reduction on that, and a 30% silver reduction from tier 7 all the way through up until the Death Star itself when purchasing those tanks. Moving straight ahead from that, we have a Gingerbread Hunt challenge. So this is of course a festive challenge which is with us until the 3rd of January. Basically this is a 6-part challenge where upon completing all of those 6 stages you will get the Soviet tier 7 IS-2 heavy tank. All you have to do in order to earn the points, they refer to them as gingerbread or pieces of gingerbread. To earn those pieces of gingerbread, you can destroy 1 or more tanks in any number of battles and win a battle. 2 separate goals right there, and either one of those will give you a random reward which is as follows: 3 pieces of gingerbread, 2 pieces of gingerbread, 1 piece of gingerbread, or 1 piece of coal. Only available in multiplayer. Upon completing these stages, once you get 10 pieces of gingerbread you get 100,000 silver. Once you've earned 50 total pieces of gingerbread, that is 5 enhanced fire suppressors. 100 pieces of gingerbread total will get you 5 lots of Ginger Dead Man emblems. 150 total pieces of gingerbread will get you 5 lots of ×6 Commander XP boosters. 200 total pieces will get you the standard 2D Gingerbread Commander. And finally, upon getting 275 total pieces of gingerbread, that will unlock the IS-2 heavy tank. You may have noticed that there's also a booby prize in the sort of earn ops, which is the coal. So 5 pieces of coal will actually equate to 1 piece of gingerbread, and you can change up those or exchange those pieces of gingerbread. 5 of them will get you a random reward from the following list, which is 50,000 silver, 150,000 silver, 2 lots of ×2 silver boosters, and 3 different types of festive emblems. So there we go. That is the festive challenge, which is with us until the 3rd of January. Moving on from there, we have a weekly sales, which is of course with us from today through until the 13th of December. I will include a little list on the screen so you can see what those sales are. From there we have super savings, previously known as personal offers. So this is the one where you need to earn a certain amount of XP to unlock a 50% discount on specific tanks, and again that is on screen for you right now so you can see the finer details of that. And finally, to finish off this news video, we have reminders for the contracts that are currently available. So once again, I'm going to include a little graphic on the screen so you can see what's going on here. Each one of these has an additional week attached to the end of the dates that I'm about to mention, where you can spend gold to buy out the remaining contract if you've otherwise not managed to earn it for free in time. So there's only 4 of them. So starting with the Big Top, which is now in its last week, that ends on the 12th of December. The Chisel ends on the 19th of December. The Stinger ends on the 26th of December. And finally the Talon T44122 ends on the 9th of January. That is it for this week's installation of the news. Once again, I would like to just thank my patrons NB Hollywood, Niagara 898 and TankerTuff66 for your ongoing support. And once again at the end of this video to remind you that throughout this month and into the start of January I won't be uploading quite as much because I'm going to be spending the holiday season with my family. So don't be alarmed if you suddenly notice the video frequency dropping off from my channel. It will be resumed as per usual in the new year. So, with all that being said, thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.